Developing right now on Morning News Now, signs of progress in Washington. This morning, Senate Republicans pushing a plan to fund the Department of Homeland Security that would end a month-long shutdown that set off a TSA shortage and long lines at airports nationwide. All this just one day after President Trump sent hundreds of ICE agents to help manage the crowds.
We're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans. I blame the Democrats more than anything else. But some of them, they didn't get paid because they're not funded by the Democrats. This is a Democrat problem.
Meanwhile, new developments in the investigation into that deadly collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport, while the NTSB says multiple missteps could be to blame. Also developing escalation and frustration in the Middle East. Sources telling NBC News President Trump has approved the deployment of more than 1,000 U.S. troops to the Gulf as Israel and Iran exchange a new wave of airstrikes. We'll bring you the latest from overseas. And the war's growing impacts here at home as well. Plus, rags or riches. New numbers show America's wealth gap is at a historic high, with the top 1% getting richer while millions of others struggle to get by. A look at the phenomenon and the policies that could be behind it. And in your wildest dreams, why researchers say some of your most vivid dreams could be tricking your brain in a good way and help you get good sleep.
I don't ever remember my dreams, so I couldn't tell you if I had a vivid dream.
Maybe we can get into that, too. Why do some people remember and some people don't? Mine are like, I remember them too well. I'm like, I was with you last night and here's what you did.
That's why. They're vivid. All right. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you for being with us this morning. We're going to begin our show with new developments in the push to end the Department of Homeland Security shutdown that's creating all this chaos we're seeing at airports across the country. President Trump is considering a two-step Senate Republican plan that would initially fund all of DHS except for ICE. Funding for that would then come through a spending bill at a separate time.
Pay for TSA workers would also be restored in the first step. Many of those workers have been calling out and quitting in record numbers, triggering those massive security lines at airports across the country. Now, in response, the president made the controversial call to deploy ICE agents to help out at airports. Roadblocks to a deal do still remain, with some lawmakers in both parties voicing frustrations about the proposal. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr joins us with the latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. Yeah, a lot of people watching this closely, maybe getting ready for a trip, hoping for some good news here. The Department of Homeland Security has gone without funding for 40 days now in a fight over immigration enforcement that spilled over to the nation's airports and ramped up the pressure to make a deal. This morning, hope to halt the insanity at crowded airports across the country.
It is very overwhelming right now.
As President Trump signals he's considering a Senate Republican plan to fund the Department of Homeland Security and restore TSA worker pay.
We're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans.
The two-step proposal would fund all of DHS except for immigration enforcement under ICE, which Democrats are refusing to put more money into without major reforms. They have repeatedly sought to fund TSA and other agencies while negotiations continue.
Republicans have rejected it every time. I think now they may be open to it.
In step two, according to four sources familiar with negotiations, Republicans want to fully fund ICE through a separate reconciliation bill that doesn't require votes from Democrats, while also trying to pass limited parts of the Save America Act elections bill that President Trump has made his top priority, previously telling GOP lawmakers not to back anything that doesn't include it.
Don't make any deal on anything unless you include voter ID.
The potential shift comes amid mounting pressure from frustrated travelers, with ICE agents now tasked with helping to move security lines at some of the nation's busiest airports.
We can just pay the TSA workers and get those people to come back to do the job that they've been trained for.
All while questions remain about the ICE reforms Democrats have been holding out for.
Bottom line, reforms must make it into law.
As everyone looks for the end of the line. Leaders from the TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard are set to testify today on Capitol Hill about the impact of this shutdown, while union leaders press lawmakers not to leave for a recess set to begin on Monday, not to board planes that TSA workers screened for free, as they put it, without coming to a solution. Stan and Joe.
Alice, as this shutdown is dragged down, we sort of are waiting to see if airlines would flex their muscles. It looks like at least one airline is trying to put pressure on Congress. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that airline is Delta, saying that it's suspending specialty services for members of Congress, like expedited screening and escorts, to bypass security lines. The airline is citing the strain on TSA officers working without pay. And some members of Congress have actually called for this kind of change as well, considering it's just not a great look under the circumstances, guys.
All right, Alice Barr, thank you.
Well, here in New York, NTSB investigators are revealing new details about what they call the, quote, many issues that led to the deadly runway collision at LaGuardia Airport on Sunday night, including a vital piece of equipment missing from the fire truck that was struck. Concerns are also being raised over air traffic control tower staffing that night. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has the details on the investigation from LaGuardia.
Fresh off the horror of this Air Canada jet landing at LaGuardia and plowing into a fire truck responding to an emergency call, investigators circled the wreckage and peered inside the aircraft in search of answers.
There are multiple layers of defense built in to prevent an accident. So when something goes wrong, that means many things went wrong.
In this case, one was a safety net ground radar system that alerts controllers of impending danger, but in this case never issued an alert, potentially because the fire truck didn't have a transponder.
If this truck would have had a transponder, it very well could have provided that alert that the controller could have used.
NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy also revealing what the agency's learning about tower staffing Sunday night.
For the midnight shift, it is standard operating procedure that they only have two on duty. Certainly, I can tell you that our air traffic control team has stated this is a problem, that this is a concern for them for years.
These questions coming as the country faces a chronic shortage of controllers, and comments like this surfacing on NASA's anonymous aviation reporting system. With a pilot writing in August of last year about LaGuardia, the controllers are pushing the line. On thunderstorm days, LGA is starting to feel like DCA did before the accident there. Please do something.
What is your margin for error when you're on the job?
Zero error. You have to be perfect every single time.
David Riley spent 22 years as an FAA controller and says even two controllers in a tower at night doesn't leave much wiggle room for breaks or fatigue.
When you don't have that extra body there to help out when things happen, it could have tragic results.
The realities of the traumatizing crash that killed pilots Antoine Foray and Mackenzie Gunther, whose Canadian college lowered its flags, still sinking in for the passengers, too.
You just heard the loudest boom.
Rebecca LaCourie said she was surprised she survived, and getting off the plane proved a true team effort.
There was no slide because the flight crew in the front was hurt. We just took it upon ourselves. I opened the emergency exit on the left. A gentleman opened the emergency exit on the right, and everyone got out.
Now, while the NTSB has yet to specify which of the two controllers was responsible for giving clearance to the truck that you still see is on the tarmac right now, we did learn a very interesting and potentially troubling piece of information from the NTSB chair, who said that despite the fact that it is protocol to remove someone after an incident like this, the 11:38 incident happened, and then it was not until midnight that a shift change occurred. So at a minimum, there could have been a 20-minute period where the person responsible for providing clearance for this stayed on the job when the protocol is to check them for things like drugs or alcohol or overall health. That did not happen, and Homendy says she has, quote, a lot of questions about that. From LaGuardia, Sam Brock, NBC News. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Sam.
Let's move now to the latest from the ongoing war with Iran. President Trump just approved the deployment of more than 1,000 soldiers from the Army's 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East.
Two sources familiar with the matter told NBC News that about half the brigade, less than 1,500 troops, could leave the U.S. in the coming days. The division specializes in parachute assault. These soldiers will join more than 50,000 U.S. troops already assigned to the Middle East, as well as 10,000 troops from the Amphibious Ready Group and the Marine expeditionary units who have been deployed in the past week.
NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Doha, Qatar, with more on this. Raf, good morning. So Iran launched attacks against Qatar's energy infrastructure after Israel bombed Iran's gas field. Just what is the latest on the ground there in Qatar, and how much damage did these strikes have on the energy infrastructure there?
Joe, Savannah, good morning. Very extensive damage to the energy infrastructure here in Qatar, specifically to its ability to export liquefied natural gas. Now, we talk about this less than we talk about oil, but it is a major global energy source. An Iranian ballistic missile hitting the Ras Laffan facility. That's about 40 miles north of where we are right now. And authorities here in Qatar say their ability to export is down by about 20%. They think that they are going to lose about $20 billion a year as a result of this. And unlike oil, guys, liquefied natural gas is much more complicated to ship. You have to freeze it to a very low temperature. So it goes from gas to oil, and then you can put it on a specialist tanker and it can be moved. But a number of those freezing facilities have been damaged. And so authorities here in Qatar are saying this could take 5 years to repair. So even if the war were to stop tomorrow, this is long-term damage, long-term disruption to the energy markets, whereas oil supplies, most experts think, could be up and running back at normal in something like 4 to 6 weeks. Guys.
Raf, there are just so many questions about these diplomatic talks, negotiations that we first heard about from the president earlier this week, and then some back and forth between the U.S. and Iran on what is going on. And I know 4 sources tell us that Pakistan is joining the growing list of countries really acting as like a go-between here between the U.S. and Iran in these conversations. And you recently asked a spokesman for Qatar's foreign ministry if his country was involved in those talks. What did he tell you?
Yeah, Savannah, so Qatar's foreign ministry seemed a sensible place to ask the question that the whole world wants an answer to. Are these negotiations for real? Could they actually end the war? Or is this President Trump just trying to drive down the price of oil temporarily? Qatar, as you'll remember, has traditionally been a mediator here in the Middle East. They were the brokers between Israel and Hamas over Gaza. And they are a country that, as we've been talking about, have been hit very intensively by Iranian drone and missile attacks. So it would make sense that if anybody was going to have an insight into how these talks were going, it would be Qatar. Take a listen to what the foreign ministry spokesman told me.
President Trump has said talks with Iran are going perfectly. He says that there are major points of agreement. Based on what you know about the negotiations, do you share his optimism that there could be a negotiated ceasefire sometime in the near future?
Qatar is not involved in these talks. Our views about any talks, if they exist, are consistent with our very principled position that all conflicts will end on the negotiation table, and we support all of these efforts.
So you heard him there say Qatar is not involved in these talks if they exist. And he clearly was not expressing the level of optimism that President Trump has over the last couple of days, that we could be potentially very close to a ceasefire. What we do know, as you said, Savannah, is that Pakistan has emerged as a potential mediator. Pakistan would make sense. It is a country that has open lines of communication with both Iran and the United States. But unlike Qatar, unlike the other Gulf Arab state of Oman, it's not being shot at by Iran right now. So it has some ability to present itself as a neutral go-between. The Prime Minister of Pakistan has said that if and when the U.S. and Iranian sides want to meet, they could do that in Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan. At this point, we don't have any date or any timetable for those meetings. We have heard from President Trump that on the American side, it is Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner who are involved, as well as Vice President J.D. Vance. What we do not know at this stage is who is negotiating on the Iranian side. The president made this slightly cryptic comment in the Oval Office yesterday, saying that the Iranians had given the U.S. some kind of gift to do with oil and gas, to do with the Strait of Hormuz, and that gives him confidence that whoever it is on the Iranian side has the authority to make a deal. Guys.
Raf Sanchez. Raf, thank you so much.
NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us now from Washington with more on the war with Iran. Megan, good morning. So let's start with these troops. More than 1,000 heading to the Middle East in the coming days. What are sources telling NBC News about this new deployment, and how does it line up with what we have heard from the president?
Yeah, hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning. So these troops are part of the 82nd Airborne Division, which is part of an infantry division that specializes in parachute assault. Now, I do want to note these soldiers have not yet left the United States, but could potentially in the coming days. Now, big picture here, there are more than 50,000 troops that are assigned to the Middle East right now. As you mentioned, as Ralph mentioned earlier as well, President Trump has also been expressing some optimism potentially about coming to some kind of deal with Iran in reference yesterday to reporters, Iran giving the U.S. some kind of present. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today.
Now, President Trump also noted that that present had something to do with oil and gas and the Strait of Hormuz. But I do want to note, Joe and Savannah, we do not know what specifically he was referring to or details about that potential present, and we cannot independently confirm that Iran has sent some kind of present to the United States. Joe and Savannah.
And Megan, we just talked with Raf about Pakistan. Looks like playing this go-between role between Iran and the U.S. What else are we hearing about that?
Yeah, so a source is telling NBC that Pakistan has been having conversations with both the U.S. and with Iran, and that Pakistan is poised to play an active role in talks to potentially end the war. Now, sources also telling NBC that there's the possibility of some kind of meeting in Pakistan in the coming days. Now, the White House, meanwhile, has not confirmed this. They have said instead that they have not confirmed whether Pakistan is acting as some kind of intermediary. They've said that these are sensitive diplomatic discussions and that this is a fluid situation as well. But I do want to note, as you can see on your screen, that President Trump has amplified a post from Pakistan's prime minister, where the prime minister said that his country stands ready and honored to be the host to facilitate meaningful and conclusive talks for a comprehensive settlement of the ongoing conflict. Joe and Savannah.
Megan, we're also learning that Saudi Arabia's crown prince has President Trump's ear in these negotiations with Iran in some way. What are we learning there?
Yeah, that's right. So a senior Saudi official telling NBC News that the crown prince has expressed to President Trump that there is concern from Saudi Arabia about the possibility of leaving Iran both angry and still having the capability of striking allies in the region. Now, that source also telling NBC that the crown prince has expressed to the United States that Israel should not attack civilian infrastructure, expressing concern about the possibility of Iran not having a functional infrastructure after the war and the possibility that that could potentially lead to more hatred of the U.S. and allies, making them potential targets of Iran in the future. Now, the White House was asked about these conversations, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the White House does not comment on the president's private conversations. Joe and Savannah.
All right, Megan, thank you so much.
It is another day of record highs across a good chunk of the country, so let's get more on this early spring heat with your Morning News Now weather.
Andrew Lassman's here. Hey, Andrew, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning. It's hard to find a spot across the country that we're not going to see a record high. You can see dozens and dozens of them as we get through at least the beginning half of our weekend. And this heat is not letting up anytime soon. So let's talk about exactly what we're going to see across the West today. We've got multiple locations that we're likely going to see break records again. Phoenix at 100 degrees, that record for today's date 96, so we'll likely hit that. 88 in Denver, the record for this date, 75 degrees, 91 for Oklahoma City. And this is all because we have that ongoing heat dome kind of ushering in and trapping all of that really warm air. So even as far east as St. Louis today, we're going to see temperatures more than 20 degrees above normal. Minneapolis, you top out at 71, Pittsburgh at 63, 85 in Jackson, and into the 90s for both El Paso and San Antonio. And as we look ahead to tomorrow, more of the same essentially. Notice still across the west, specifically the southwest, into the 90s. We've got 90s for Kansas City in March. That's pretty crazy. 33 degrees above normal for that location for tomorrow. Upper 60s for Detroit and New York City, and upper 70s for Raleigh. We'll see kind of cooler conditions settling in by the time the weekend comes around across parts of the Great Lakes in the Northeast, and even some milder conditions across parts of the South. Notice the 86 degrees on Friday in Raleigh, down to 59 on Saturday. So a bit of a mixed bag there. Otherwise, we've got fire alerts across parts of the Rockies and the Plains. 7 million people at risk. I just told you all about that heat, but we've also got dry air in place and some gusty winds. So be careful of that. That's something we'll watch at least through the day today and potentially into tomorrow in some locations. And then this next round of storms is on deck. By tomorrow, we'll see those kind of ramp up specifically across the Ohio Valley, Detroit to Cincinnati, Columbus, Indianapolis, Springfield, all included. Hail and strong tornadoes possible and some wind gusts as well. So that'll be something we keep a close eye on. By Friday, a lot of that rain works into the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, and then we'll see some colder conditions behind that in some of those locations. So we know warm air hits cold air. We've got some of those severe storms coming our way, and that's exactly what we're going to expect tomorrow.
That time of year. All right. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you. We are hearing shocking details from the wife of a Hawaii doctor who's on the stand testifying against her own husband in his trial for attempted murder a year after he allegedly tried to kill her while on a hike. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson was in the courtroom and has the latest.
Yes, I do.
A stoic Ariel Koenig taking the stand in her husband's attempted murder trial.
I'm screaming and he's telling me, shut the up. Nobody's going to hear you out here. Nobody's coming to save you.
Her testimony haunting, at times harrowing.
I was screaming, and so he's covering my mouth and stuff. And then we had this moment of like, it seems like he takes a deep breath. And then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
Exactly 1 year ago, on her birthday, she says her own husband tried to push her off a cliff. She was on a hike in Oahu with her husband, Hawaii anesthesiologist Dr. Gerhard Koenig, when she says his mood suddenly changed.
He's on top of me, and he had a syringe in his hand. And he says, hold still.
Ariel says she swatted the syringe away as a pair of hikers looked on in horror.
There's a man trying to kill her. She's blood all over her face.
Sarah Buxbaum placed that 911 call.
Can you describe seeing the defendant's eyes?
It's like a cold, emotionless stare.
Unfaithful, unwilling, and untrue.
His attorneys say Ariel was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a man she worked with.
You described it to the detective simply as some flirty text messages with a coworker, correct?
That's what it was, sir.
They say she first attacked Koenig.
She attacked him, pushed him, and they ended up in a scuffle on the ground. He never tried to throw off the cliff.
Steve Patterson, NBC News.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, eating for two. New research shows a link between fertility and the food you eat, what doctors want future parents to know.
Up first, though, developing news on the war in Ukraine as Russia launches a massive drone attack on several key cities. We'll be right back.
We are back now with a rare glimpse at what daily life is like inside Iran now 4 weeks into the war. The country is under almost a total internet blackout, making it nearly impossible for Iranians to tell their stories to the outside world. NBC News has made contact with several people in Iran, and we're hearing firsthand what it's like living under the daily threat of military attacks. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now with more on this. Molly, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. Now, it is an incredibly challenging reporting environment, and it has been since the start of the war. Hard for Iranians to access independent information and news, and really hard for us to get in touch with average Iranians, not through state media, not Iranians connected with the regime. But we managed to get a series of voice notes, Joe, from 3 women inside the country right now, 2 of which have asked to remain anonymous for their safety. And I also spoke with 2 Iranian women here in London. Joe, they all hold pretty different opinions about what's happening on the ground right now. Take a listen.
Imagine living in a situation where you truly do not know at any given second what will happen to you. Will that missile or bomb fall on you or one of your fellow citizens?
This is Mariam, a conceptual artist based in Tehran, seen here in a stylized self-portrait. Since February 28th, we've heard very little from Iranians inside Iran, living through the realities of war, cut off from the outside world by a brutal regime. Mariam managed to send us voice messages of her daily experiences.
We know when a fighter jet is overhead and that we must wait for the explosion. And those seconds between the sound of the jet and the blast are unbearable.
She's created these highly composed images of friends posing in Tehran over the last 3.5 weeks.
There was a horrifying sound. The house shook. Then came the screams. The scene was apocalyptic. I saw a body without a head. I saw a hand separated from a body. I saw a father crying out, searching for his son.
And even outside the capital, which has seen fewer strikes, this dual U.S.-Iranian citizen who asked us not to use her name for her safety is sheltering with relatives.
At any moment, any place could become dangerous. I worry about the life I built, a life I loved and hoped would improve, but it feels like we are losing everything.
The people we spoke with tell us divisions are deepening.
What I fear is the fragmentation of Iran. What I fear is a civil war in Iran. I'm angry at some of my own people who believe that a military attack would bring us freedom, ignoring the experiences of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and many other countries.
Another woman who recently returned to Iran to care for her aging parents has similar fears.
People who were united before against the Islamic Republic are now divided themselves. I had the worst argument ever with my own sister who supports the war.
For some Iranians outside of the country, like Parnia, whose whole family still lives there, this is a price worth paying.
We Iranians, we tried 47 years. We tried everything, all the methods in the book. And we only faced guns and prisons and executions.
Are there complicated feelings watching your homeland obviously be attacked by America and Israel, but also holding that hope? Like, how do you hold those two things?
One day I wake up and half of my brain decides to be happy about what's happening. The other day I'm just like, but my country is getting hit.
But for Nagar, also here in London, war is never the answer.
War was always going to leave us with worse outcomes. You can't free the people you're bombing. People who don't have the security of, just walking down the street are not free.
And freedom and a future decided by Iranians is something everyone we spoke with hopes for. But inside the country, there's still the constant threat of death.
I love Tehran. This is the city where I was born and grew up, and I want to die here. If Tehran is going to fall, then I will fall with it.
I hope these bitter days will pass, that Iran's future will be bright, and that we will finally have the natural right of a free country, a country without foreign interference and without invasion.
Now, speaking out both here and inside Iran is risky, especially to international media. And we are so grateful to these women, Joe, who shared what they could with us. The diaspora community here in London and in the States is divided, holding those multiple things, the fear, the hope, the anxiety, the hopelessness all at once is complicated, everyone told me. The one thing they did all agree on is they want a free Iran with a future decided by Iranians. Joe?
Molly, we've been covering this for weeks, and yet we so rarely get to hear those voices. So we appreciate your reporting and your team's reporting. Thank you so much.
Important to hear straight from them. More developing news overnight. Ukrainian officials say Russia launched a massive drone attack on several cities.
NBC News International correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us now to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Claudio, good morning.
Joe, Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. Authorities in Ukraine say that on Tuesday, Russia launched the biggest, largest aerial attack in the space of 24 hours since the beginning of the war. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia fired 392 drones and 34 missiles in the early hours of Tuesday, killing 5 people, followed by another daytime attack with an additional 556 drones, which killed 3 more people. In his video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the scale of the latest attacks clearly shows that Russia has no intention of really ending this war. Let's go to Cuba now, where Tuesday activists delivered a shipment of humanitarian aid despite U.S. sanctions that severely restrict shipments of fuel and other goods to the island. The aid arrived in a small ship run by the Nuestra America Convoy, a coalition of non-governmental groups, unions, political parties, and lawmakers from more than 30 countries. The cargo, which included 14 tons of food, medicine, solar panels, and bicycles, was handed over to Cuban authorities. And let's end this tour of the world in the UK, where the government will roll out a pilot program that limits or bans access to social media for hundreds of teenagers. The test will see 300 teens have either their social apps disabled or blocked overnight or capped to 1 hour's use in order to compare their experiences. The test will provide real-life data while the government continues consultations over whether to follow in Australia's footsteps to making access to social media illegal to under 16s, guys.
Spoiler alert, they're going to find other things to do. And it'll be fun. All right, thanks, Claudio. Appreciate it.
Coming up, drug disclaimer. Researchers sounding the alarm on influencers promoting prescription drugs on social media.
Our Dr. Azar is here with the warning and how you can protect yourself. That is coming up next in our weekly checkup.
The future of fertility is getting a high-tech upgrade as artificial intelligence expands into everyday life. It's now helping some couples navigate IVF and even trying to predict success. NBC's Stay Tuned Now anchor Gotti Schwartz takes a look at the AI-powered approach to building a family.
We're all here thanks to the miracle of life. And that miracle, sometimes assisted by IVF and the marvels of modern medicine. And along that comes the cold reality of dollars, cents, and a baby at a price.
I know it sounds crude or vulgar when you say people are buying a baby, but essentially they're here because they want to buy a child.
And up until now, the costs are often a big question mark during already stressful times.
My wife and I had 5 rounds of IVF.
But Nader Al-Salim, the founder and CEO of Gaia Fertility, says using AI, they've come up with a way to make IVF treatment so predictable, they have a no baby, no fee guarantee.
With the availability of data today and the sort of proliferation of AI at large, you can isolate every step of the way and really understand what is going to happen, what are the scenarios, and what are the probabilities.
Al-Salim's pitch is not just about tech, but financing. Typically with IVF services, couples pay as they go for treatment, and that can range from $20,000 to $60,000 or more. With Gaia?
A $24,000 today average price of what we sell in IVF is enough of a pathway that 8 out of 10 women will walk away pregnant.
And that $24,000, more or less, includes multiple embryo transfers if needed. Al-Salim says that with Gaia's system, couples are paying for an outcome, not a series of treatments.
I don't think anyone walks here and said, I'd like to buy myself a treatment. People come here because they want a child.
Every step of the way, I felt like we kept getting bad news after bad news.
Maria and her husband had been trying to conceive for years, but a medical condition prevented her from getting pregnant.
They're telling you that you have a condition, and then they're putting a price on top of that, right? Yeah. That's like a 1-2 gut punch.
Oh, absolutely, because first you find out you have this problem that makes you sterile and not be able to have children naturally, and then you're like, okay, cool, the science exists to do it, but you're definitely going to pay for it. And the price tag is a shocker.
But through the Gaia process, she and her husband were able to conceive.
And then came the news that you were pregnant.
Yes, which was the best thing that ever happened. We were both crying so bad, and it was... I'm still having a hard time believing it, honestly. When you struggle for so long, it just seems like it's never going to even be a possibility.
In the world of fertility, AI is already being used for things like timing hormone injections, selecting embryos, calculating drug dosages, and sorting through massive amounts of data produced by tests during the IVF process. But studies emphasize that human physicians play the central role in helping couples conceive through IVF.
When it comes to fertility, there are so many layers, in terms of the social element and the emotional element and the psychological element. We've spent a lot of time focusing on the patient.
Al-Salim hopes that combining that human element with AI and other advanced tech will lead to a new future for how human life is created.
People will be producing more embryos and more babies in the lab than we used to do, especially as the cost becomes more viable.
Gotti Schwartz, NBC News.
We've got more fertility news in our weekly checkup. A new study found that ultra-processed foods may be affecting your fertility.
Also making health headlines why vivid dreams might make you feel more rested.
Here to break down these health headlines in our weekly medical checkup is NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. Good to have you with us. So let's talk about this link between ultra-processed foods and fertility. What are we finding out?
Right. Well, I think we all know, not a news flash, that ultra-processed foods aren't good for our general health. But this study was specifically looking at whether or not it could impact fertility among either between men and women, as well as an effect potentially on how your embryo is growing once you have conceived. And indeed, what they found is that a higher consumption of ultra-processed food in men was linked to issues with infertility, and in women, it was linked to slower growth of the embryo, which can definitely have negative pregnancy outcomes. And so the idea here, of course, doctors' orders are, I want you to limit your processed foods, eat more whole foods. This was really interesting because what they did was they basically looked at whether how long it took to get pregnant, if you got pregnant within a month, or if it took more than 12 months or you needed to use assisted reproduction. And that's how they analyzed, these couples. When they did the study, the women were already pregnant. So, listen, we don't know, is it the ultra-processed food? Is it the additives in the food? Is it the microplastics in the food? But it definitely is, ripe for more research to figure out how this is impacting fertility.
Wow. Lots of conversations about that, like before you're even pregnant, the type of stuff that you can be doing, called trimester zero now. Yeah. Okay, this next study looked at an increase in partnerships between pharmaceutical companies and influencers. I mean, that on its face sounds like it doesn't mix, but what it finds?
I know. So what, it's kind of like the perfect storm. What do you get if you have misinformation, weak oversight, and persuasive narratives? Well, you have a perfect storm for this new collaboration between pharmaceutical companies and influencers. And what this study found was that basically we're seeing these prescription drug makers who are partnering with influencers. I already don't love that on its face.
Right.
And what they found is that very often there was misinformation that these influencers were communicating to the public. And it really was a result of very limited oversight and regulation. Like, the FDA hasn't caught up with this yet. There's so much that the FDA can and does do to regulate communication by pharmaceutical companies to the consumer, but they haven't figured out how to regulate this yet, and we're seeing this. So doctors' orders are, when you are on, and this is especially, I think it's true for all of us, but especially younger kids, right, who are so influenced by social media and TikTok, be very skeptical and talk to your doctor. What I say to my patients is this: they're going to use this information. It's out there.
Right.
Use it as an adjunct. Don't use it as a replacement for what your healthcare provider is giving you in terms of information. Bring it to your doctor, tell them what you're looking at and reading, and let them sort of, myth bust and fact check.
You can use it to spark a conversation with your provider and
I do that all the time. You can't tell people
Exactly.
not to go online. Like,
Right.
that's just,
Exactly.
yeah.
Very good.
Not going to happen.
All right, we've been talking about this one. So for this next study, they monitored people when they slept and found out that those who were better rested were the ones who had vivid dreams.
Subjectively better rested.
Okay.
So the idea here is that normally we think that in order to have good sleep, that your brain needs to be quiet, right? And so when they measure brain waves, they want these slow waves, and that is what is going to give you the feeling of being well rested. Well, in this study, it kind of flipped it on its head. The more vivid your dreams were, the more immersive your dreams were, the better you thought you slept. Okay? So that you did still have a lot of those sort of high firing brain waves, but I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but I feel like when I've awakened from a very, very active dream, I feel tired but rested.
Right.
So I think I agree with this. Doctors' orders are this: limit light exposure, keep it cool, do all the things for sleep hygiene. But I think it's very interesting that it might sort of change the way we think about what we need to have good sleep. I think this is more thought-provoking than anything actionable, but I just thought it was extraordinarily interesting. And doing the study, you had to be awakened multiple times. This takes
anything that has to do with
kudos to those.
Yeah.
I hope they got well compensated for that, because that sounds like torture.
They were vividly compensated.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Azar, thank you so much.
You bet.
Coming up, economic extremes. New numbers show a growing gap when it comes to wealth in America. Up next, we're going to get an in-depth look at the problem and policies that could be making it worse.
Plus, shooting for the moon, NASA launching a $20 billion plan to build a base on the lunar surface. You're watching Morning News Now. We're back with a look at rising inequality in America as the country's wealth gap reaches a modern-day high. Data from the last 25 years shows that the rich are getting richer while the rest of the country can't seem to keep up. President Trump has blamed Democrats for this weak economy.
They use the word affordability. It's a Democrat hoax. You're getting lower prices, bigger paychecks. The only thing that's really going up big, called the stock market and your 401ks.
And that was in December. Now, as part of our Unaffordable America series, NBC News did a deep dive to figure out why the top 1% is doing so well, while so many Americans are struggling to get by.
NBC News senior policy reporter Shannon Pettypiece joins us now with more on her reporting. Shannon, thank you very much for being here. Great to see you. So there's these different realities, it sounds like, from Americans on opposite ends of the financial spectrum. I know you spoke with a lot of them. What are we hearing from NBC News readers about how they are doing?
Yeah, we got hundreds of responses to a survey that we put out asking people just how's it going, what's going well, what isn't going. And I will say a really stark picture of the economy emerged for a lot of people. And it's really a tale of two economies. For those at the top, they have seen their wealth grow. They have benefited from a rising stock market. They have benefited from higher corporate profits. But for everybody else, for your typical worker in America, they have been struggling with obviously rising costs that we've been talking about for several years now, but now a slowing job market, wages that are still keeping up with inflation, but not growing the way they used to. And that's put a lot of pressure on people's finances, especially people who aren't benefiting from these big gains in the stock market that we've seen in recent years. 90% of stocks are owned by just the top % of the household. So even when we see positive things in the economy, like record stocks, that's really only benefiting a small slice of the country.
Beyond the job market and some of the wages, what are some of the other reasons Americans are struggling? I mean, walk us through some of the forces at play here, from groceries to housing.
Yeah. And I mean, we see in economic surveys as well, time and time again, people with a really negative view of the economy. Obviously, there is a lot left over from the pandemic still. The housing market is a big one. We've talked about grocery prices. You know, while we've seen some things come down like eggs, other things like orange juice and coffee have really spiked over the past year. At the same time, as you mentioned, there is this job market. A number of people I talked to described really struggling, not just for, months, but even in some cases for years. And some people, they're not unemployed right now. They don't count in those unemployment numbers, but they told me they're making half of what they were making before, or they're working 2 jobs just to get by.
Shannon, how are government policies, taxes, tax credits, programs impacting this?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of policies over the past year coming out of the Trump administration and Congress that disproportionately benefit the wealthy. This tax cut bill passed last year is a big example of that. It made permanent a lot of these big tax cuts to corporations, to certain types of businesses, raising the estate tax for people with, passing on wealthy estates to their heirs. At the same time, we saw it cut some of these social programs that people really depend on, food stamps, Medicaid, for example. And there are benefits in there for the sort of average working class American, particularly people who get their income from overtime and tips. But those are really dwarfed by the outsized benefits wealthier households are seeing from that.
The president's allies say that these changes that the president has made are going to boost manufacturing jobs, and that's going to help the economy. How do economists feel about that? What are they saying?
Yeah, I mean, economists are concerned that some of the pressures being put on the economy right now, whether it is tariffs and now, of course, gas prices, are going to offset whatever benefits people are going to see from other policies, like the tax cuts I was mentioning. People are supposed to get a bigger refund this year, but if that goes to higher retail prices from tariffs or higher gas prices following the spike in gas recently, that's going to offset any sort of gains people would have seen there.
All right, Shannon Pettypiece, great to have you as always.
It's more business news now. The new leader over at Disney dealing with a billion-dollar blunder during his first full week on the job.
NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has our Money Minute. Hey, Emily.
Hey, Joe and Savannah. Good morning. That's right. So Disney's new CEO, Josh D'Amaro, who just stepped into the role on the 18th, is already facing some setbacks. 2 major tech bets hit trouble. First, layoffs at Epic Games, where Disney has invested $1.5 billion. Then just hours later, the announcement that OpenAI's Sora video tool is shutting down, ending a big planned partnership. So as Disney leans into AI and gaming, its tech investments are proving risky in a rapidly changing industry. And CVS Health has reached a proposed settlement with the FTC regarding insulin pricing practices. The agreement is expected to increase transparency for consumers and limit certain rebate practices, all in an effort to lower costs. Final terms are still pending, but the deal could be finalized in the coming weeks. up in the sky. Flights with United Airlines are about to look a bit different. The airline is introducing the United Relax Row. It's 3 seats that basically transform into a couch for longer flights.
What?
The new seats are expected to roll out next year and will take up about 12 rows on each plane. The goal is to have them available on more than 200 flights in North America by 2030. I hear that. What, Savannah? I know it's crazy.
Okay, did y'all just see that video? They suggest you like turn. That seems.
And then
It might be awkward if you're sitting next to someone you don't know.
Like it's like
I think the idea is you get all 3, so you
Got
get
it.
and then if you're traveling with a kid, they give you a plushie. It comes with a mattress pad, blankets, pillows. Yeah, they're really saying this could be great for families traveling with children, and also for those long flights. If you don't want to really, pay the price of first class, it's a
I'm
little.
sure that's got to be a little expensive, though.
They have not released the prices yet, but I expect that as well.
So confusing to me. All right, thanks, Emily.
Ahead of its historic Artemis mission, NASA has announced some big changes to its future plans for the moon. The agency is canceling plans to deploy a space station in lunar orbit. Instead, NASA says it's going to use some of those same components to build a $20 billion base right on the surface of the moon.
Crazy. NASA's new boss, Administrator Jared Isaacman, said the base would be built over the next 7 years. He described it as a key step toward establishing humanity's first extraterrestrial outpost.
There will be an evolutionary path to building humanity's first permanent surface outpost beyond Earth. This is the moment where we should all start believing again, when ideas become missions and when hard work delivers world-changing accomplishments. NASA once changed everything, and we're going to do it again.
For more on this, let's bring in Dr. Paul Sutter. He is a cosmologist, which means he studies the origin, structure, and evolution of the universe, different from a cosmetologist. He's also an associate research scientist at Johns Hopkins University and the author of the book, How to Die in Space. I know that thumbs up came because you probably hear that all the time.
Yeah, whenever you're on with us, I have to tell myself, don't say that.
It's something that's been discussed for years. We finally have this timelines of details. When you heard this yesterday, what was your reaction?
Honestly, it's a logical shift. The Lunar Gateway, this proposed space station in orbit around the moon, never really made a lot of sense because we know how to do and build and live in space stations. We've been doing it for over 2 decades. What we don't know how to do is have a surface base installation, an outpost on the surface of another world. That's the real frontier. And the differences between the two, especially when we're talking about the moon, are not that big. The moon has no atmosphere, so it's like being in space anyway. It has very little gravity, so it's like being in space anyway. So instead of having it in orbit around the moon, have it stuck to the surface of the moon, and that's where we can push the frontier of new technologies.
I mean, I think just like the thought of permanent infrastructure in any way on the moon, it's like the future is now kind of thing. It's just so cool. What will it be used for? And is the building of this difficult since it's repurposing something that was like pretty far along here?
Yeah, the repurposing, this is the key word. It is a repurposing because instead of having a big habitat in space, you have it planted on the ground. And so a lot of the infrastructure stays the same, but the devil is in the details. So instead of having small rockets to maintain station in orbit, now you need to solve other challenges like having rovers available on the surface. So NASA is already working with all of its international partners that were in the pipeline for developing pieces for the Lunar Gateway to see how their technology can transfer over to a space station.
Let's take a fork in the road and go to Mars here. NASA announced this brand new nuclear-powered Mars vehicle they hope to launch by 2028. What should we know about this mission and what it could accomplish?
Yes, nuclear power, as scary as it sounds, is absolutely essential for the future of space travel. And that's because chemical rockets, the kinds of rockets we have now, are honestly not going to give us a sustained presence on Mars. They just don't have enough oomph. They don't have enough power. They don't have enough energy to get us to Mars quickly enough for a human mission. So we need nuclear-powered rockets. We need a power source on Mars. The sunlight on Mars is just too feeble to power a human installation. We just can't do it with our current technology. We need to take the next step, and this is a demonstrator mission that can open that door for us.
Okay, Sky Skyfall, like so James Bond. This is just so cool. Okay, also the big news next week, Artemis 2. It's on track to send 4 astronauts around the moon and back. The first crewed lunar mission since 1972. I mean, this is a huge deal. What are you going to be watching for?
I'm going to be watching for a successful mission. I just want this mission to go right. It's had so many delays and cost overruns, but we are testing new technologies. This is a shakedown cruise to make sure all the pieces are in place so that we can do things like starting to build the base on the moon. This flight has to work to make all of that happen. So that's what I want. I just want a boring mission where everything checks out.
Boring will be amazing.
Like
Dr.
that,
Paul
yeah.
Sutter, good to have you with us. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
So fun always. Coming up on Morning News Now, a very big thank you for a beloved school crossing guard.
I mean, it can be freezing cold, pouring rain. She's always there. For us to be able to do something to give a gesture of our appreciation for everything she does for us, it was really rewarding.
We come back more on the surprise gift from a group of very grateful dads. Stay with us. We want to end this hour with some good news as we head to work and school. A crossing guard in Dallas who shepherds students to school every day was facing her own tough commute after her car broke down.
But a group of dads stepped in with a surprise she will never forget. NBC Nightly news anchor Tom Yamas has more on a story full of heart and horsepower.
This is the moment beloved elementary school crossing guard Trisha Crawford is surprised with an SUV all her own. She's used to cars arriving at Moss Haven Elementary in Dallas, but when this white SUV pulled up, little did she know she'd be the one driving it home. A surprise from a group of school dads who jumped in to help her out when car trouble meant she couldn't easily get to work.
And everybody knows and sees her every single morning. She brings a smile to everyone's face.
Well, several months ago, she had needed car repair work on her vehicle.
It turns out her car needed tons of repairs, and what she really needed was another vehicle.
We're like, I promise you, we're going to help you out. We're going to get it figured out.
And figure it out, they did, raising thousands of dollars and working with a local car dealership to fix up this SUV.
All the dads.
Teaming up to surprise her with the keys to her new ride.
I mean, it can be freezing cold, pouring rain. She's always there. For us to be able to do something to give a gesture of our appreciation for everything she does for us, it was really rewarding.
Tom Yamas, NBC News.
Okay.
She's the crossing guard with personality, too, you can tell. So that makes the kids' day,
We didn't even address the dancing with the stop sign.
All right, that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thank you very much for starting your Wednesday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, mixed signals amid the White House's push for diplomacy with Iran. President Trump ramping up America's presence in the Middle East. Sources telling NBC News the commander-in-chief approving the deployment of more than 1,000 U.S. troops to the region. Now, a third-party power emerging as a potential intermediary for peace, with global markets and wallets reacting to every move. We've got the latest. Also this morning, a possible glimmer of hope for weary travelers and TSA workers now in their 6th week without a paycheck. A new funding proposal on Capitol Hill that could bring clearer skies to America's busiest airports. Plus, new details on the final moments of that Air Canada jet that collided with an emergency vehicle at LaGuardia Airport. Why federal officials say control tower staffing wasn't the only crack in the system leading to the catastrophic crash. And later in the hour, we're sailing into spring. The hottest deals in retail that'll really melt away those winter blues. That's how you combat the cold. You do some shopping to just warm yourself up.
Don't tempt me.
All right, let's begin this hour at the latest from the ongoing war with Iran.
The Iranian mission to the United Nations announced on social media that, quote, non-hostile ships may now pass through the Strait of Hormuz if they coordinate with Iranian authorities. Now, as we've been talking about for weeks, global energy prices soared after shipments of oil and gas through that essential shipping route were all but shut down by Iran. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel joins us now from Israel with the latest on the ground. Hey, Richard, good morning.
Good morning. President Trump is sending contradictory messages. He says the war has already been won, yet more American troops are heading to the Middle East. But a potential diplomatic off-ramp does seem to be forming.
More than 1,000 additional troops from the 82nd Airborne Division are heading to the Middle East, according to two sources. They'll be joining thousands more Marines, sailors, and other American troops already on their way. The announcement came as President Trump in the Oval Office yesterday said he's already won the war.
Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. You know, I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won.
Well, at the exact moment Trump was speaking, we filmed an Iranian cluster bomb exploding over Tel Aviv. Iranian-backed militias are continuing to launch new attacks in Iraq, where the U.S. has bases. Far from over, this war is escalating. More American troops are coming. The U.S. and Israel launching, as of this morning, 9,000 attacks so far, according to the Pentagon. New images today from Iran show extensive damage in the city of Isfahan. But peace negotiations may be coming. Pakistan has offered to mediate. The New York Times reporting, according to two sources, the U.S. has sent Iran a 15-point plan to end the war. Trump seeming to reference it earlier this week.
15 points. Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number one.
Two sources tell NBC News in-person meetings could happen in the coming days. But Iran this morning accused Trump of negotiating with himself. As an Iranian army spokesman said, gas prices won't go down until there's stability in the region. And not everyone may be interested in successful negotiations. Trump has attacked Iran twice during peace talks before. Israeli troops are pouring into southern Lebanon to fight Hezbollah and plan to occupy a tenth of the country. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says he'll keep fighting in Lebanon and Iran until his aims are met.
Pakistani officials this morning tell the Associated Press that Pakistan has delivered this 15-point proposal to Iran. Iran has yet to comment.
All right, Richard, thank you.
Each day since the war with Iran started, U.S. military officials have compiled a video update for President Trump. It shows the biggest, most successful strikes on Iranian targets from the previous 48 hours. That's according to 3 current U.S. officials and a former U.S. official.
Those officials say the 2-minute highlight reel isn't the only briefing that Trump gets about the war, but 2 of those current officials and 1 former one said the video briefing is fueling concerns among some of Mr. Trump's allies that he might not be getting the complete picture of the conflict.
NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake joins us now from Washington with more on this reporting. Garrett, good morning. Let's start with NBC News reporting about these video briefing that the president gets. How is the White House responding to that?
Yeah, Joe, this is some great reporting from our colleague Catherine Doyle about this video montage that is a key part of the president's briefing. The White House takes issue with one of the story's conclusions, or at least one of its concerns, the idea that the video portion of the briefing is somehow shaping the president's viewpoint on the war in a way that doesn't line up with the facts on the ground. A statement from the White House press secretary calls that an absolutely false assertion coming from someone who's not been present in the room. And they argue that the president actively solicits opinions of everyone that he talks to. Joe, you know, from having covered President Trump for a long time, I think both of these things can be true at once. The idea that he likes to see these presentations in video and that something like that would appeal to him is very much sort of true based on the way we know he likes to take in information. But he also does have these wide-ranging conversations with essentially anyone who might be in the room or on the phone about any given topic. So I think it's important for viewers to sort of take all of this together as we think about the way in which the commander-in-chief is taking in information and then making his decisions about the war.
Garrett, also on Capitol Hill last night, the Senate failed. It was actually the 3rd time to advance a resolution seeking to rein in President Trump's military action against Iran. Tell us about the vote and what options that leaves for lawmakers.
Yeah, this vote failed on largely party lines, one Democrat voting against it, one Republican voting for it, but otherwise you saw basically people wearing their partisan jerseys. Savannah, I think Democrats will likely continue to force these votes as a way to continue to keep the debate alive about this war. Also, we saw in some of the debate on the floor last night a focus on the fact that there have been no public hearings about what's going on in the war. A lot of Democrats raising questions and concerns that essentially the information that is coming to Congress is in the form of these closed-door, often classified briefings. Democrats used this floor debate to argue that more of the discussion about what's going on in this war needs to be happening in public, needs to be happening in open sessions of the U.S. Congress so that the American people can get a fuller perspective about exactly what's being done in their name.
Garrett, as we've been discussing this morning, President Trump has approved the deployment of more than 1,000 soldiers from the 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East. It's according to two sources who are familiar with the situation. What more do we know about this new deployment, and how does this move fit into what he told reporters yesterday about these negotiations with Iran and just the continued questions about the timeline here?
Yeah, look, I think there are a couple of ways to look at this, Joe. The way the Iranians look at it is to say we didn't trust the president to negotiate in good faith, and look at the steps that he's taking even now to continue to keep the pressure up on us. The way the White House looks at it is to try to maximize the president's options here, to essentially give him the various tools in the region should these negotiations go south. But I think no matter which perspective you take, this is kind of old school gunboat diplomacy by having this maximum available forces and pressure for the president as he says he's pursuing diplomatic options. He talked a little bit about this yesterday in the Oval Office. Listen to what he had to say.
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today.
Joe, if you're wondering what that present is or was, so are we in the White House press corps. It's something we're endeavoring to answer today. It sounds like perhaps it's in reference to Iran, maybe letting the ships through the strait that they weren't planning to do otherwise, but it's still very much an open question the next day.
Add that to the list of questions. What is the present? All right, Garrett Haig, reporting from the White House. Thank you.
There's a glimmer of hope on Capitol Hill that an end could be in sight for that chaos we are seeing at our airports nationwide. Republicans think they have a framework for a deal that could quickly fund the TSA and stop these massive security delays. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has the latest from Houston International Airport. Priscilla, good morning.
Yeah, so I want to give you a sense of the scene here in Houston. So you look at that line and you say, it's moving. I don't see much of a line here, but let me show you why. That is because the workers at the airport are funneling people up from the escalator. And so this is where the true line is really starting. It is down into baggage claim. As soon as I got off of the parking garage, frankly, I saw that line. And, some people in high spirits, they're making jokes, they're cheering, but I think it's because people have come to learn that this is the new reality at airports right now.
This morning, the airport lines defying belief. Frustrated flyers waiting on painfully slow security checks. Even packing terminals in New York as early as 4:30 a.m. today. At Houston's George Bush Intercontinental, the number of checkpoints has been reduced from 9 to 2. The airport warning wait times could be more than 4 hours.
This is unbelievable.
At Atlanta Hartsfield, chaotic and unpredictable. At 5:15 a.m. Tuesday, the wait was an hour and a half. By 1:30 p.m., just 7 minutes to get through security.
I need to go back home.
For travelers, figuring out when to get to the airport is a guessing game.
A little frustrated, being sent mixed messages of get here early, but then when we get here, we can't do anything for a few more hours.
While in Washington, the battle over the partial government shutdown, the latest proposed Republican plan running into resistance from Democrats Tuesday. More than 120,000 federal workers are in their 6th week without a full paycheck. According to the TSA, more than 450 workers have quit. And call-out rates for a half dozen major airports are now well above 30%.
The government really has to start working as a government and working for us. They're stopping everything and they're hurting us. It's disgusting.
ICE agents, who unlike TSA workers are still getting paid, have been deployed to 14 different airports for support, checking IDs and helping with crowd control. Nationwide, collections popping up to help TSA workers. One federal credit union offering a paycheck relief program to TSA officers, giving them access to the money they're owed.
Times are tough for them right now. With gas prices going up and everything else, it's kind of a perfect storm.
And even as people are getting used to this, they're showing up to the airport earlier. The times are still so unpredictable. I spoke to one man who got here 2 hours early for his flight. He was still in line when we were talking to him, and he said that he had rebooked his flight 3 times. So despite getting here early, he was still missing his flight. And so that's some of the chaos that people are continuing to deal with as the shutdown continues.
All right, Priscilla, thank you.
Major sticking points are holding up the process as lawmakers try and hammer out a deal to end this partial government shutdown.
Of course, as we're just talking about, it says millions of travelers feel that impact across the country. Also, many essential frontline government workers are still on the job today, not getting paid.
NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us with more on this part of the story. So, Ryan, what are we hearing from lawmakers as they look for a solution to end the chaos we're seeing at airports all across the country?
Well, there is a glimmer of hope, Joe, and emphasis on the glimmer. It's not raging by any sense of the imagination, but over 40 days of this shutdown, there was very little progress, and now we're starting to see at least some progress. Republicans have agreed to strip out almost all of the most controversial aspects of DHS funding and make sure the vast majority of the agency gets paid. But there's still that sticking point over ICE funding. Republicans want to at least fund every portion of ICE that it's not involved in the enforcement of the president's mass deportation program, and that's just not enough for Democrats. Listen to what the two sides had to say about this yesterday.
We have to rein in ICE and stop the violence. We need reform.
The time to end this is now. The Democrats have in front of them a proposal with legislative text that would allow us to get DHS back and opened up again. And it is essentially what the Democrats have been asking for.
So the question is, will there be some sort of breakthrough? There's obviously a lot of pressure points that exist at the current moment. First, those long lines that Priscilla was showing at these airports across the country. But there's also an upcoming Easter recess that most of these lawmakers would love to take advantage of. It's 2 weeks long. It'd be very difficult for them to leave town without this resolved and let it linger for another 2 weeks, guys.
Absolutely. Ryan, tens of thousands of federal employees impacted in the meantime. Many of them are frontline workers. Tell us who and who is not getting paid and why.
What's really remarkable about this particular shutdown, different than the one that we talked about in the fall, Savannah, is that 90% of the 260,000 DHS employees that are impacted by this still have to show up to work every day. And that's because they are dealing with very critical frontline responsibilities that keep Americans safe. We're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about emergency management. Obviously, we're talking about TSA officers. And so it's very, very difficult for them not to come to work every day. And so they're being forced to. And that means they're coming to work without a paycheck. We're seeing many of them being forced to call out sick, not in protest, but because they've got to pick up gig work in places like Uber and things along those lines just to be able to feed their family. It's not a sustainable situation. And not only could it lead to these long lines we're seeing at airports, potential pitfalls in the safety net that we've created with DHS, but it could also mean some of these career employees may just give up and quit their jobs and not come back.
Ryan, this all comes as President Trump's pick to lead DHS is now sworn in. So real quick here, what will be now Secretary Markwayne Mullin's top priority?
Well, to try and find some sort of common ground with members of Congress that were very upset with Kristi Noem's stewardship of the agency. It wasn't just Democrats that were unhappy with Noem. There were Republicans as well. Mullin is well liked by both sides of the aisle, so there is a hope that he can make things a little bit easier between the agency and Congress. Guys.
Right. Ryan Nobles in Washington. Ryan, thank you so much.
We are learning new details this morning about the final moments before Sunday's deadly runway collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Federal officials say both technology issues and staffing problems may have contributed to the catastrophic crash. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock is at LaGuardia Airport with the latest on the investigation. Hi, Sam. Good morning.
Savannah, good morning. It's not entirely clear how long this is going to be the status quo for, but behind me still, that Air Canada aircraft is right there. You have specialists walking around, still going through debris and trying to figure out where the investigation is going to go next. At the same time, we've got brand new information from the NTS chair, Jennifer Homendy, who said yesterday they've confirmed 2 controllers in that tower at the time of collision, but she couldn't say definitively, Savannah, which one gave the clearance for the truck to cross the runway. At the same time, investigators also want to know why a safety system that was meant to alert the control tower apparently fails. An intense investigation now fully underway, with specialists combing the crash site for clues. Investigators already uncovering multiple cracks in a safety system meant to prevent collisions like the one between an Air Canada jet and a fire truck.
There are multiple layers of defense built in to prevent an accident. So when something goes wrong, that means many, many things went wrong.
Starting with ground radar detection that's supposed to alert controllers of an impending crash, NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy says it never did. Homendy also revealing the fire truck did not have a transponder relaying its movements.
That could have led, in this case, to a lack of warning to the controller.
Also of concern, staffing in the control tower on Sunday night. The NTSB chair confirming there were 2 people there and that investigators have received conflicting information about who gave the go-ahead for the truck to pass. We're also learning that months before the crash, a pilot made a submission to NASA's anonymous aviation safety reporting system flagging communication mayhem at LaGuardia. Writing in part, LGA is starting to feel like DCA did before the accident there, adding, please do something. David Riley spent 22 years as an FAA controller. How would you describe the risk profile, whether it's high or not, of having one person doing multiple positions?
I mean, it's risky because you have to stay focused on the task at hand. You have to be able to prioritize your focus.
This video shows the moment the mangled nose of the plane tipped upward, just as frightened passengers were on the jet's wing scrambling to evacuate. In the wake of the crash that killed 2 Air Canada pilots, Antoine Foray and Mackenzie Gunther, and left more than 40 hospitalized, passenger Chris Powell has a black eye and countless questions.
My daughter was asking me, like, when did you know there was trouble? And I told her when my face hit the seat in front of me. So it happened very suddenly.
Today, a fuller examination, guys, of the cockpit voice recorder and what the pilots were saying to one another in those critical moments begins. But we did get the preliminary findings from Homendy yesterday, who said that within 6 seconds of the audio expiring, there was a declaration of my airplane and a transfer of control from the co-pilot to the captain at that point. And if he makes that statement, there are no questions asked. The transfer is controlled over. Potentially that could be because he saw an imminent incursion coming or a collision and felt like he had to take control at that point in time. We'll find out. Back to you guys.
All right, Sam, thank you very much.
Let's bring in NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello to dig deeper into what we're learning from the NTSB. Tom, good morning. 2 big questions investigators are asking right now: what was going on with the controllers in the tower and what was going on the ground with the truck. Let's start with the controllers. One big unknown is whether they were overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think that's right, and whether they had too much going on at once. They already had an emergency they were dealing with, remember, with the United plane. But in terms of the controllers, the NTSB confirms that there were 2 controllers in the cab. That's essentially the tower there at LGA, and both had multiple duties. And that's standard operating procedure at LaGuardia, right? And at many towers around the country at that time of night on a Sunday. The NTSB chair, Jennifer Homendy, did raise, though, concerns about multiple responsibilities, about fatigue, staffing levels for all controllers at all facilities. And then she notes that the board has raised this issue for years. I've heard it for years. And she's warning about the dangers of pointing fingers and accusing the controllers of being distracted because it is really very early in this investigation. But keep in mind, this is a very busy airspace. It's a heavy workload, 90 flights a day going in and out of LGA. And remember, the controllers at that hour were dealing with an emergency with another flight, a United flight. That's where that fire truck was going. So the too many things, too many distractions line up all at once. That's what this investigation is all about.
Tom, what about the truck on the ground? On our screens right now is a timeline of the communication it seems that they were receiving. Is it clear how closely it was being tracked? And walk us through what's sort of normal in terms of air traffic control communicating with vehicles on the ground.
Yeah, so we're talking about the fire truck there, and it's called Truck 1 on the radio communications. So investigators said that although ground vehicles have transponders on them at other airports, and that gives controllers a precise read on their location on the field, this fire truck did not have a transponder. And the NTSB says the ground warning system did not trigger a vehicle proximity alert. So investigators will be asking the firefighters on board that truck, did they hear the controller telling them to stop? We do know that an airport vehicle had radioed the tower at one point, but that transmission was stepped on by another radio transmission. So did the fire truck. have the same experience? Were they hearing the tower clearly? So that will be among the questions for firefighters. Or were they going too fast and too far along when the collision occurred? So they're going to hopefully interview firefighters in a formal setting as soon as today, you guys. But as so often is the case, and I'm reminded in every crash, right, it's rarely one single thing.
Right.
It's usually a series of things that go wrong, and the normal becomes abnormal, and that may be exactly what happened on Sunday night at LaGuardia.
All right, Tom Costello, thank you so much.
Okay.
Let's get to weather now. Record highs continue to scorch the southwest with no end in sight. We're going to get a closer look with our Morning News Now forecast.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman joins us. Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Once again, we're taking a run at a whole lot of records here. This has been like a rarely prolonged period of heat for folks across much of the West, but this is essentially coast to coast. We've got Raleigh, Atlanta, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Phoenix, Reno, all included in the potential to see some of these record highs yet again here as we get through at least the first half of our weekend. Some of those spots that are going to take a run at the records today include Denver. 88 degrees is your high. That would blow the record out of the water for this previous day, for this date previously. That's 75 degrees, the current record. We'll likely see a record in Las Vegas. Phoenix is expected to hit 100 degrees. Albuquerque at 90, Lubbock at 94. Really, you name it, and we're seeing these abnormally warm temperatures across much of the country. We've got 88 on tap for Wichita, upper 70s even as far east as St. Louis, low 70s for Minneapolis, and the heat continues for tomorrow for really some of those same areas. 90s from Kansas City through Oklahoma City down to San Angelo, near 90 in Paducah. We've got 70 degrees on tap for Detroit tomorrow. Then we start to see some cooler air filtering in behind a cold front. So that gives us a brief break. Some chillier conditions arrive for Cleveland on Friday. We've got 50s on tap, though, there by Sunday. So a bit of a roller coaster ride in some of these locations. Raleigh ends up into the mid 80s on Friday and then down to the upper 50s by the time your Saturday starts. Here's one other note, though, with all that heat, we've got the dry air and the windy conditions across the plains and the Rockies, and this is leaving us with that risk for fire. So this will be something that we see last at least through today in some of these spots, potentially into your Thursday as well. Here's that cold front that I mentioned. You can see it kind of slides across this region, stretching from New England to the central plains here for tomorrow. And there is a little bit of snow there. There's some rain, but we're really going to start to see these kind of stronger storms firing up as that warm and cold air collide right along that boundary. This likely will happen late into the afternoon tomorrow. So if you live anywhere from Cleveland to Springfield, but including Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, you got to have a way to get some of those alerts because we do have the chance to see some really large hail and the potential for a strong tornado or two across this region. Wind gusts, also a possibility up to 60 miles per hour. Beyond that, we'll head into Friday with some of that rain and the wintry mix kind of working across parts of the Northeast and stretching into parts of the Tennessee region. We'll see some of these really cold temperatures on the backside of this system. So really a multitude of things going on that we're going to have to worry about over the next couple of days. Guys?
All right. Angie, thank you so much. It has now been 53 days since Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her Arizona home in the middle of the night. There is still no suspect, but authorities say they are pursuing every lead.
Well, now our beloved colleague, Savannah Guthrie, is speaking out for the first time. In an interview with Hoda Kotb that will air on the Today Show and here on our show tomorrow and Friday, Savannah again makes a plea for anyone who knows anything to step forward and shares some of the pain she and her family are dealing with.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony. Yeah. We are in agony. It is unbearable. And to think of what she went through. I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror. And it is unthinkable, but those thoughts demand to be thought. And I will not hide my face. But she needs to come home now.
Yes. Just absolutely heartbreaking. Our thanks to Hoda Kotb for part of that interview, and of course to our Savannah for opening up to us. This full conversation, as we mentioned, it's going to air in 3 parts on the Today Show and here, starting with the first 2 parts tomorrow, and then part 3 will be on Friday. There is much more Morning News Now right after this.
Stay with us. We're back in 3 minutes. We're back now with a verdict that could be a watershed moment for social media. A New Mexico jury has found Meta liable for failing to safeguard children from sexual predators.
Yeah, the company behind Facebook and Instagram now says it will appeal the decision. But there are still thousands of separate lawsuits against Meta all around online safety that are still pending.
NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett joins us now with more on the implications. Laura, good morning.
Good morning, guys. This verdict reached in just 7 hours after a 6-week trial. It's a case that started with an undercover investigation on how to catch predators online. But now the question becomes, what changes will Meta have to make to its platforms to protect those that are most vulnerable?
This morning, a massive verdict against tech giant Meta. Jurors in New Mexico ordering the owner of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp to pay $375 million in damages for failing to warn users about the dangers of its platforms in a civil case brought by the state's attorney general.
It should be a clear signal to everyone in this space and to Mr. Zuckerberg in particular that enough is enough. It's time to change the way they do business.
The 6-week trial revealing internal company documents, as well as deposition testimony from Meta's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg himself.
So we need to constantly be vigilant and improve our systems in order to be able to identify the bad actors and bad content on our systems.
An effort some jurors speaking to our team outside the courthouse say they took into consideration.
Meta proved to us that they really do care about kids and work hard.
Other jurors appearing unpersuaded.
They're not out to do evil in that way. I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but they are aware of what's going on and they know the extent of it and they really do need to fix it.
What exactly it takes to fix it, now up to the court. The company vowing to appeal the jury's verdict, saying in a statement, "We remain confident in our record of protecting teens online." The case in New Mexico, the first of its kind, as Meta now faces a tidal wave of legal pressure over the safety of its most popular platforms. In another major case, the jury's still out. Deliberations in Los Angeles now stretching into a 9th day, as the jury there weighs whether Meta and YouTube deliberately made their platforms addictive to kids.
So we know Meta was hit with $375 million in damages here, but they could be on the hook for even more money. When all is said and done, the judge is now set to hold a hearing, guys, about exactly how should they restructure their company? What tangible changes do they have to make? And he could add on more fines. That hearing is set to start in May.
That could be a big deal for the company, that they have to make changes that affect every aspect of what they do, right?
Enormous, but they're appealing, so this could take years, guys.
Really could see the floodgates open, though, right, on more action. Thanks, Laura.
Yep.
Coming up, tech tensions coming to a head in one southern community this morning.
The Elon Musk-linked AI data center that's causing more than a racket among some Mississippi residents. That's next on Morning News Now.
We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with a victory for Democrats in Florida.
NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us now from Washington with more. Hey, Megan.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning. Yeah, let's start off in Florida, where President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort will now have Democratic representation in the Florida State House. That's because the Associated Press projects that a Democrat has flipped that State House seat in a special election. Democrat Emily Gregory narrowly beat Republican John Maples, who President Trump had endorsed. Now, according to the Down Ballot, which is a political site that tracks special elections, President Trump won the State House district by about 11 points in 2024. Let's go next to Minnesota, where the state is suing the Trump administration over access to evidence related to federal agents shooting people, including Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Now, Preddy and Good were killed earlier this year, sparking protests and calls for immigration enforcement reforms. Now the state is asking a federal judge to order the Trump administration to follow laws that require that evidence related to 3 cases be shared with the state. In a press conference, State Attorney General Keith Ellison said that all we ask for is for the federal government's cooperation. Finally, guys, talk about a razor-thin election margin. Let's go to North Carolina, where the top Republican in the state Senate, conceded to his primary challenger after the challenger won by just 23 votes. That's according to unofficial results. Phil Berger, who served in a top state Senate position, conceded to County Sheriff Sam Page. Now, both candidates support President Trump. Notably, President Trump had endorsed Berger, and Page said earlier this year that he turned down President Trump's offer for a job in D.C. And that's a look at what's making news in politics this morning, guys.
A reminder, every vote counts. Megan, thank you.
Well, in South Haven, Mississippi, residents say their quiet community was upended when dozens of gas turbines started showing up, linked to an AI data center backed by Elon Musk. Now, some neighbors say their health and quality of life are suffering. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has more on the growing concerns.
Home to more than 50,000 people, South Haven, Mississippi is a quiet suburb. That is, residents say, until Elon Musk's AI power plant came to town. For months now, this is the sound communities near the plant hear. All day and night.
It sounds like jets are taking off and they never take off.
Coming from dozens of methane turbines sent to power Elon Musk's AI data center.
That's the power plant, and we're getting a decibel reading here in the low 60s. That's about as loud as a dishwasher running 24/7, just steps from that house.
When I was a little girl, the garden was right over there.
Crystal Polk's family has lived here for generations, before Black people were even allowed to own property.
What has life been like for you since the turbines came to town?
Excruciating. The noise is constant. It never ends.
This is the noise level that we are experiencing at 9 o'clock at night.
Sometimes it's very, very, very loud, with loud screeching and railing, like rails are hitting up against each other. That's just unbearable.
And it's not just a concern over noise, but air pollution too. Nonprofit newsroom Floodlight published this thermal drone footage, which they say shows the gas burning at the facility. The Environmental Protection Agency has said gas turbines are a major source of hazardous air pollutants, including formaldehyde and other probable human carcinogens.
I have severe asthma, and sometimes I can smell the pollution in the air, and I don't want to be exposed to that and cause more damage to myself.
The Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality telling NBC News right now they've confirmed the facility is utilizing efficient air pollution control technology to minimize emission, despite operating without an air permit for months, which the department said wasn't required for the initial temporary turbines.
We don't really know how bad this pollutant is right now.
Jason Haley has doubts.
Do you worry it could be bad?
Yes, I do. You shouldn't put this right next to people's neighborhoods.
He co-founded the Safe and Sound Coalition, a group trying to stop those turbines from becoming permanent.
It's March 5th at 12:10 a.m.
He says people like this officer come by every few hours to take decibel readings, but that the readings don't tell the whole story.
We took a decibel reading down at the park, and it was like in the 50s, 60s, which is equivalent to the hum of a dishwasher, which might not sound like much to people.
I've heard the comparison to this isn't much louder than my dishwasher or my vacuum cleaner. It's louder than that. Well, you don't run that 24/7.
XAI did not respond to NBC News' request for comment about the Mississippi plant and residents' concerns. South Haven's mayor called the noise a legitimate concern and says XAI installed a $7 million sound wall and is considering more mitigation. He also emphasized the economic impact.
Our city and entire community will soon reap unprecedented financial benefits from this new strategic alliance.
XAI plans to spend more than $20 billion in the area, the governor announced, bringing with it much-needed jobs. But Jason and Crystal are not alone in their worry. Hundreds of people showed up to the state hearing in South Haven, urging officials to reject XAI's bid for 41 permanent gas turbines. This month, Mississippi regulators unanimously approved those permanent turbines, which the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality says will require an air permit. On X, Elon Musk said he was thrilled it was approved, adding it powers the future of AI innovation. A future the residents we spoke to say will cost them their own.
I can't live with this. I'm going to have to move.
Tell me more about what's happening for you right now.
It's just the thought that this may be the end of something that's been in my family for years. I feel like we don't matter to those who are in charge, that we are invisible to them.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, South Haven, Mississippi.
Coming up, why wait until Black Friday to score some sweet retail deals?
When Morning News Now returns, we've got a full rundown of the big names serving up even bigger savings so you can start your spring with a little extra green in your wallet. That's next.
Welcome back. Take a quick look in your bathroom drawers. If they are packed with half-used makeup, empty bottles, empty compacts, you're definitely not alone.
But before you toss them, a new effort's underway to give those products a second life and cut down on waste. NBC News Chief Consumer Investigative Correspondent, News Now anchor Vicki Nguyen is more on the push to make beauty a little greener. Vicki, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I think a lot of us could pull out a drawer and kind of be horrified at what's actually in there. Good morning to you. Over the last year, consumers here in the U.S. alone spent more than $115 billion on beauty and personal care products. This is according to research firm NIQ. When you stop to think about all of the plastic that goes into that packaging, it adds up to literally tons of waste in our landfills. But it doesn't have to be that way. It is easier than ever to recycle those beauty empties.
This is just so unnecessary.
I have so much makeup that sometimes it really overwhelms me.
I need not spend another dime on makeup, at least for a while.
For many of us, our beauty drawers are filled with dozens of containers, skin creams, lip gloss tubes, blush compacts. And they all add up. More than 16 billion beauty and personal care packages were created in the U.S. in 2024, but only an estimated 20% of them were recycled. Nonprofit PACT is setting out to change that to help the beauty industry become more sustainable.
We've collected almost 1 million pounds of material, these teeny tiny pieces of plastic.
Carly Snyder and her team at PACT have a new solution to the plastic problem, helping consumers recycle their beauty empties with collection bins around the country. You can find them in more than 3,000 locations, including Ulta, Sephora, and Nordstrom stores.
What is it about beauty products and containers that makes them challenging to recycle?
Yes, so there's two main factors. The first one is size. So anything that is smaller than what we say a fist is something that our typical local recycling facilities cannot process. The other big factor is mixed material.
Like this dropper.
This is like a rubber on top, rigid plastic, and a glass kind of stem to it. So that's 3 different material types, making it extremely difficult to recycle.
PACT is teaming up with brands like L'Oreal, Ilia, and Summer Fridays to reduce beauty industry waste. One solution, designing more sustainable packaging. But for those hard to recycle beauty products, PACT has a long list of items it accepts. Everything from toothpaste tubes to dental floss containers, mascara wands and tubes, lipstick tubes, and small supplement bottles. The key is to make sure they're clean and empty.
So someone comes, they've got all of these things, they are clean, they're empty, just drop them right in?
Drop them right in.
Okay, great.
PACT picks up the beauty empties, then they're sorted and shredded and sent to factories like Marble Plastics in Columbus, Ohio, where they take on new life.
This is where the magic happens.
Founder Joseph Klatt showed us how they turn beauty empties into soap dishes, trays, and coasters, and other recycled items into furniture and building tiles. The goal, to keep this plastic out of landfills. First, the material scooped, weighed, then dumped into a giant mold.
So this is about 100 pounds, which is definitely thousands of bottles.
PACT says that's the equivalent of around 12,500 lipstick tubes. This is a little piece of Sol de Janeiro, very popular beauty brand. So you know this is shredded material from beauty products people are using.
That's right. And sometimes that material, the actual label, shows up in the product and you actually read the label.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. It's all heated and compressed into a flat sheet, cut into different shapes, sanded, and voila.
It becomes a coaster.
That's right.
Very cool.
There you go.
Something that could be trash turned into treasure.
What would you love for people to know about what you guys can do with plastic?
Yeah, our message is recycling is real. Your material does get recycled, so still believe in us, and you can make really useful things out of it.
Useful indeed. To learn more and find a bin near you, go to pactcollective.org. There are all kinds of recycling programs for different items, so it really is worth checking them out before you dump anything in the trash. I just keep a little bag, and I put my beauty empties in there, and then I take them all at once. And the other thing to remember, I learned this from a lot of people, the first R is not like recycling or reducing or reusing, it's refusing. So when they're like trying to give you a sample or a water bottle or something, and you don't really need it, just say no, because that means like less waste, less of it needs to be produced.
So there's 4 R's.
They're 4 hours, yes.
Oh, wow.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Reduce, reuse.
By the way, check this out, guys. This is the actual coaster. Very cool, right?
Really cool.
It looks like a little piece of terrazzo. I know. It's all available right now to brands and retailers, but later this year, PAX says some of the stuff will be available to consumers, so you can purchase it yourself.
That's cute.
And it works.
And it works. Exactly. Nothing too hot because you don't want to melt the plastic. Wait, this is good. No, you're fine. You're fine.
I have cold tea. Very cold tea. Don't worry. I was just
it's like, oh no, Joe.
It's funny because I'm always cold water and he starts with hot tea, right? So funny.
But it's nice and it works.
It's very nice.
Thanks, Vic.
All right, let's take a look at what's making news on Wall Street. New data is revealing a grim reality for many U.S. workers and their well-being.
NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has our Money Minute. Hey, Emily.
Hey guys, good morning. It appears workers here in the U.S. are increasingly having a tough time both on and off the job. According to a recent Gallup report, for the first time in years, more workers say they are struggling than thriving. That's while worker engagement has dropped to a decade low. Confidence in the job market has also fallen sharply, with only 28% of workers saying now is a good time to find a quality job, down from 70% in 2022. Over in tech, more on that surprising retreat from OpenAI. The ChatGPT maker says it's shutting down its Sora AI video generator. The app had sparked excitement and concern both online and in Hollywood, and the company had a major deal with Disney to bring many of its iconic characters to the app, along with a $1 billion investment in OpenAI. This move comes amid rising competition with Anthropic and ahead of a potential IPO in the coming months. And while a major comeback didn't bring in quite the crowd it was expecting, BTS did get the attention of more than 18 million viewers on Netflix. The K-pop group's free performance this weekend sparked their first since 2022, them coming out. More than 250,000 fans were expected in person and just more than 100,000 showed up. But Netflix says its live stream topped its rankings in more than 24 countries. And guys, a new documentary is coming out on Netflix. It's titled BTS: The Return, that premieres on Friday. And of course, that highly anticipated global tour of the group kicks off next month in April.
Very good.
So much BTS.
They're back.
Yeah, they're
All
back
right.
For sure.
Thank you.
Many of us wait for Black Friday or other holiday sales to get big discounts, but our shopping experts at NBC Select say some major spring sales are happening right now.
Yeah, who waits for Black Friday? So far away. Retailers like Target, Home Depot, and Ulta, they are slashing prices and offering some exclusive deals through the end of the month. You can find discounts on items like home supplies, winter clothes, and makeup.
All right, NBC Select reporter Zoe Mallon is here to break down which sales are worth the money. Good to have you with us. So we mentioned some brands there, but we've got sales going on through the end of March. What should you be looking at now? When should you start shopping?
Yes, so a lot of these sales actually started today. So if you haven't started shopping early deals, now is your time. Two of the biggest ones happening right now are Amazon's Big Spring Sale. That is a week long, so it runs through the end of the month. That's open to everyone, which is typically not what Amazon does, typically only open to members, so anyone can shop this one. We also have a Target sale going on. That's exclusive to Target Circle members. It runs for 48 hours. But you can actually join Target Circle for free, so very easy to get access to that. We're also seeing deals at places like Wayfair and Home Depot if you want some home improvement or gardening supplies. My favorite, though, are at Ulta and Sephora right now. They have sales going on through tomorrow night, and those sales are really interesting because they change deals every 24 hours. So if you don't see something you love today, check back in tomorrow.
And when you're done with it, you can turn it into a coaster.
Yes, I love that. Or a chair.
Or a chair.
Love it. What are some of the other products that we can get with the good deals?
Yeah, so some of the most big sales that were happening right now are spring clearance sales. Winter clearance sales. We're really seeing a lot of clothing, especially those sweaters, boots, coats, all flying out the door. This is also a great time to buy some of those spring cleaning essentials that you need, indoor and outdoor, as sheets, vacuums, organization tools. This is also a time, like we said, for those home improvement projects. So there'll be lots of those kind of items on sale, as well as gardening supplies. And then because people are starting to plan those trips for the summer, we are seeing some suitcases and toiletry bags on sale, as well as all those beauty deals.
My favorite question to ask in these segments: what should you not buy right now?
Yes, it's so important to know what not to buy. Right now, because all of that spring fashion's rolling out, prices are really high. So we don't recommend buying any of that just yet. Same goes for outdoor furniture, patio furniture, grills, any of that stuff. stuff really starts to drop more once we move toward Memorial Day. We also don't recommend buying tech right now. We really don't see worthwhile tech deals until we get to the summer, so during Prime Day, back to school season, as well as Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And then also anything you'd buy during those 3-day holiday weekend sales, Memorial Day is coming up, so wait on mattresses, furniture, and your big-ticket home and kitchen appliances.
All right, how can people make sure they're getting the best deals right now?
So to make sure you're getting those best deals, you need to comparison shop. It's so important since there's so many deals happening right now. Also try to stack your savings, so not only take advantage of that deal price, but also try to layer in a promo code or shop with a credit card that earns you cash back. You can also track prices using sites like Keepa, Camel to see if something's actually a good deal or just marked down from an inflated baseline. We also recommend making sure you are looking at those return policies. You do not want to get stuck with something you don't love, right?
It's like, oh, it was 3 days.
Exactly,
Whoops.
yeah.
No, that's a big one.
Yes, for sure.
Zoe Mallon, some good advice. Thank you so much. And for more shopping tips, you can scan that QR code on your screen or head to NBCnews.com/select. NBC News earns a commission from purchases made through our links. Coming up, crafting a sense of comfort in one Maine community.
After the break, we're going to introduce you to the group of grandmas spreading a lifetime of love with every stitch. That is next on Morning News Now. Finally this hour, how one group of women in Maine turned their hobby into a source of comfort for their community.
Katie Delaney from our Portland, Maine affiliate shows us how they share their love one stitch at a time.
Yes, it is a lot of fun, and it keeps you young.
When you ask many of these ladies just how long they've been quilting for, they'll tell you,
oh my, forever.
Close to 50 women meet a couple times a month in Scarborough, all finding a welcoming community in the Casco Bay Quilters, which has been around since 1981.
It was a way for me to meet new people in the area. It's great to get together.
It's fabulous, really.
Learning from each other and enjoying their favorite activity together.
Quilting is just peaceful, it's calming, it's rewarding.
Very fulfilling.
And it's a lot more work than you might think.
Hours and hours of work.
Meticulously cutting, sewing, pressing.
Almost done. And there's so many techniques, so you're always learning something new.
With every stitch, they're thinking about who they're making these quilts for. Most are given away to a grandson.
1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish.
To a daughter-in-law.
I didn't give you the gift of life, but life has given me the gift of you.
The group's main mission is making quilts for the Center for Grieving Children. In June, kids at the center in Sanford who have a loved one who has passed away each get to pick out a handmade blanket.
A quilt brings so much joy. On your worst day, you can grab the fabric of the quilt and pull it close to you, and it's like a hug.
Oftentimes in grief, kids feel like they don't want to be different, and they do a lot of work to not be noticed. And so when we can notice them in very careful and gentle ways, it goes a long way.
Helping children find some comfort in their darkest moments, one stitch at a time.
You send your love along with each quilt. Each stitch that you put into it is a little bit of you that you're sending out there into the world.
Oh, just so sweet. Thanks to Katie Delaney for bringing us that story. So far, members of the Casco Bay Quilters have already made about a dozen quilts for the Center for Grieving Children.
Still have the quilt my grandmother made. It means the world.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.